Okay, we got our class 5 back here. Next step, I'm gonna run this string line way back up there by the Mini X to right here. So we're gonna match the pavers for the path. We're gonna match the top of the stairs here, obviously. So we're gonna run that right here. And then we're gonna go along with the handy dandy tape measure and check our depths. We're gonna have to come down quite a bit still, it looks like. 9 inches, which we are definitely not. 6. It's gonna be like 2, 3. What's that gonna be? 5. 3. Okay. So yeah, we need to take 6 to 7 inches out of most of this still. There's gonna be a lot of dirt coming out of here.
All right, guys, so this I realized was gonna be a great project. And mental note, let's remind Danny not to create nicknames for the guys. He's terrible at it. I don't know what Boulder Busters means. But this is actually this project actually is a really great project to use as an example of how we install the pavers. And I thought, well, what a great opportunity for us to start to master the basics. So we're gonna install this paver sidewalk where you seen Sam talking right from the beginning all the way up to the house and show you what we do step by step. Now the first step is the excavating, and as you can see, Blaine is using the flat nose of the bucket and he's not over digging. This is kind of an important thing that I want to bring up. If he does over dig, it's not the end of the world, but you can't just put that dirt back in and hit it and hope nobody sees it, because what'll happen is somebody will see it like in 3 years. So let's say you over dig by just 6 inches, right? You just one scoop a little too deep, put the dirt in, pack it, it's not gonna bridge. You got to put that dirt back in it, and you got to pack it with an actual packer. And when I mean, you know, hit it, a lot of guys will hit it with an excavator bucket or something like that, thinking that's good enough. And it's good enough at the moment, but what'll happen is over a course of a few years, if you've had 6 inches, you dug too deep, and you pack it, you're not getting that whole 6 inches packed, and you're going to have a little bit of settlement down the road. So it's important to do it right. Sorry that took me so long to explain. Organic material. Let's address this. You can't have any organic material below a structure, a sidewalk. So even though Sam laid out the string line, which will help him understand how far down he has to cut, if he hits the bottom of that cut, right where the ASV is right now, and he's still finding black dirt, he's still got to go deeper. It's all got to be removed. We can't leave any organic material behind. And let's say that, let's paint another scenario. Let's say you dig down and it's just nasty all the way down. As far as you go, it's nasty. Well, there is a technique to bridge. If you can't dig all of the bad material out and bring all good material in, we call it bridging. And that's where we kind of dig down to a certain depth and we put the material back in place, but then we layer grid into the base, and what that does is it acts as a giant snowshoe helping distribute the weight. Now let's talk about another thing, the base. We use anywhere from 4 to 6 inches.
Blaine's out taking out another load of dirt and coming back with more class 5. So we are going to need a little bit of that today. Anyways, we got this all excavated out where it needs to be. Well, within a ½ inch of where it needs to be. They say that you want 4 to 6 inches of base underneath your sand and your pavers. We usually shoot for 6 because why not? So we're in between like 5½ inches and 6 inches, which is plenty. So I'm gonna run the packer over it, and then we're gonna start bringing class 5 back and packing it in lifts.
So what Sam said is the 4 inches is what we like to use as a minimum. 6 inches is really what we do like to shoot for, and it's always better to err on the side of going heavy. So if they go 7 or 8 inches, What is it going to cost the company? A few extra bucks, but it's going to make sure it's better than going too light, which is like 2 or 3 inches. Worst possible thing you can do. So the deeper you put that base though, you gotta make sure that you get good compaction. Now Sam's using a 150 pound plate packer. This is actually our finished packer. And although it will suffice for the base, we don't like to put all of the base in at once and pack it. We like to put it in
so
lifts.
I got the class 5 on all of this dialed in yesterday. I was kind of shooting from the hip and just eyeballing it last night. And we need 3 inches from the top of the line to the top of the class 5 because that's our sand and pavers. Like I said, I was eyeballing it. It's like 3 inches on the nuts the whole way down, so feeling kind of good about that. Anyways, Blaine's up getting sand. Sounds like the place we get that at is freaking real busy today, so he's gonna be a little bit. So plan for today, I have this little strip in between that class 5 and this class 5. We got to excavate out, get class 5 in, all that kind of stuff. And I'm just gonna throw this out here right now. I'm not gonna lie, I don't have a ton of experience on the Mini X. I mostly just run the skid steers. So for all of y'all that could probably do better in your sleep and all that kind of stuff, first step at being good at something is being bad at it.
Well said, Sam.
Y'all can just chill.
Well said, Sam. Brave boy, actually filming, you know, something that he's not good at. So let's go back to what we were talking about earlier with packing it in lifts. We're using about 6 inches of base material, but we're packing it in 2 lifts. That way we make sure we're good. Now technically a 150 pound plate packer could possibly do it in 1 lift, but we know it will do it in 2 lifts. Twice as, well, not twice as good technically, because you can only hit so much density of your soil. And having your soil too dense isn't a bad thing. So you can see Sam's being actually pretty careful not to overdig.
All right, we got most of that last little bit excavated here. Blaine just showed up. He's fueling up the littlest ASV that could. He's got a big old load of sand.
If this ASV can lift this load of sand, I will be shocked and surprised. This thing is powerful. The guys love this machine, but that is heavy. That's got to be at least 3,000 pounds, I'm gonna guess. It's not gonna do it. Come on, Blaine, do it. Go for it. Drag and drop it, Blaine. It's just sand. Do it. Drag and drop. Lift it. If you're ever gonna drag and drop, do it with a pallet of sand.
All right, well, we were hoping we were gonna be able to lift that off of there. And that little RT50 is just not.
Let's see how much they have to shovel off to make it happen.
Oh yeah, that is wet. That was not getting lifted with that little guy.
That wasn't very much sand, was it? Can it do it? Can it do it? Oh, it's right there. It's right there. Oh, he's got it. He's got it. It'd be interesting to see if this can lift a full pallet of pavers. I know it can lift a full pallet of block, but let's see if it can lift a full pallet of pavers. Because that's a game changer. If it can lift the full pallet of pavers, look at them tracks. Did you guys see that? Those tracks? Oh, here we go. Here we go. Okay, so we use screed bars. So in this case, they're actually screeding the base material, and then we'll use the same screed bars to screed the sand. After they get this base laid out, they'll lift the, yep, they're lifting the bars up, and they'll set the bottom of their base. They'll pack that down, and then they'll lift the bars up again and reuse those bars for their sand. The reason we use the bars, it's literally just to the right depth for your sand. You don't want to go too deep on sand simply because deep sand, although it is a non-organic material and structurally is amazing, it has zero binder and can shift if you get a lot of rain underneath it. So if you have a deep sand base and you get that sand underneath just shifting a little tiny bit, it can take a perfectly level base paver and just kitty-wampus it a tiny bit and throw it off. So we like to use, this is recycled class 5. This is 3/4 inch rock, and it has fines all the way down, but the fines are actually a compactable material and packs up hard like concrete. And here you'll see these guys putting the base in 2 lifts. They've already got 1 lift down, this is the 2nd lift, and you'll see where he's hitting it with a packer. Sorry, I feel like I'm talking too much this time. There's just so many details I want to get out to you guys, because I know some of you guys may be going to use this to help you build your own pavers. So I'm just going to splurt it all out here, and I promise I won't talk so much on future ones. Just by screeding the base, it makes the next step, screeding the sand, go so much faster. It really does. Hey, I'll get back to it.
Good morning, everyone. Be a little bit of a chilly one today. We are going to have a little bit further trip with the skid steer now.
So this is the recycled class 5 before we lay it down. And what recycled class 5 is this is actually asphalt and concrete from roads, curbs, brought to a central processing facility, ground up to make new road-based material. So this is all green material, all completely being reused. And it works amazing. But this load is chunky. If you look as it comes out, you're gonna see bigger chunks, which isn't the end of the world, but those big chunks can't be left in chunks. See those chunks coming out? Those chunks have to be broken down. So although it's not perfect, it's not the end of the world. We're not gonna reject this load. It just means the boys gotta be extra careful. But when you're putting it in lifts that thick, it's not the end of the world anyway. Those chunks naturally get broke up.
Alright, yeah. We'll just have a little bit longer of the pile. Aw, man, there's some big chunks of shit in this one.
Somebody told me to use a rubber mallet. Keep one with every dump trailer, and then when you dump, just tap the trailer with the rubber mallet and you'll get your box clean. That was a great point. I think I'm gonna include a rubber mallet right in the battery box of every one of my dump trailers. And this is the first year we've ever used dump trailers. We love it, love it, love it, love it. It's just so convenient. The boys can get whatever they need whenever they need it. Oh, here we go, here we go. The RT50 is lifting a pallet and bass backwards. When it's going backward like that, the weight is shifted backwards, which kind of tips you backward, which actually does help in this case. So let's see when it gets level how it does. And it's a little floaty, isn't it? That's a good machine, you guys. But the new one, the Max Series cab, is amazing. The Max Series cab on the ASV is incredible. I'll show you that in a different video. You guys are here for this, so let's just stay on one track here. so you can see where exactly what they're doing. And if you can't, they're screeding the base. They'll pack it, sand it. Here's an interesting thing. They've got to make that patio blend into the stairs right where Blaine is working right now. And so he had to do all of the math, Blaine, to calculate that those pavers would hit exactly into those stairs just right. But you can see the string lines he's got running. Those string lines show him exactly where the top of all his blocks are. So he's not worried about going off as long as he stays true to those string lines. And as they lay the bricks, let's talk about that too. They're going to be using what we call the click and drop method. Instead of just setting them down and bringing them in, what they do is they hover the block above the sand and they make it click the block next to it and then release it and drop it down. If they just brought the block in like you normally would do, you're going to get a lot of unevenness in the blocks because it'll scrape a little bit of sand with it and create issues for you. So it's called the click and drop. Bring it in, hover it above the sand, touch the paver, release it and drop it. You get pretty fast at it after a while. Okay, another thing. The sand was not compacted. Did you guys see that? It was just screeded. It's anywhere from 3/4 to 1 inch, and since it's not compacted, there will be a little bit of forgiveness in it. Almost, dare I say, around 1/4 of an inch of tolerance. And so we've got to actually leave everything just a titch high, because when we're finally all said and done, we're gonna pack the whole paver patio.
We got most of the path screeded out. Sand's good to go. We're gonna pop the pipes here and get that all filled in, and then we're just gonna keep laying. So we're gonna, you know, get up to the board, screed the rest of it out, screed it out that way, and rock and roll.
Oh, he's got the second paver, our second pallet. That's so easy to do because you can't see from his point. He can't see where the ends of his tines are. You just can't. So you got to feel it. Look at that. Look at that little floaty. But it's doing it. The littlest ASV that could. Let's talk about polymeric sand, because a couple people have asked, and polymeric sand is very popular across the country. It's not popular with us. Blaine actually doesn't prefer it. Blaine is kind of a master of pavers, and at least in Minnesota, we get a lot of freeze thaw. We get a lot of ground movement. We don't get the big earthquakes like other parts of the country, but we get so much ground movement that we have to compensate for that. And so if we get the ground in one area moving just a little bit, the frost, moving it without moving the entire area evenly, you can get that polymeric sand to pop up, and you get these little weird little bits of polymeric sand sticking out of the ground.
Here's what we got. We got the whole path leading back to these back steps here done. Now this whole walkway is only going to be 3.5 feet wide, so we went past that a couple of inches because we're gonna saw cut all that, and we wanted to have, you know, a nice stable base we can walk the saw along on. So it's gonna look a whole lot better when
No, we're just gonna leave it unfinished like that. So this is actually, I want to use this project as an example of how we do different components of it, just to maybe help some of you guys out. Let me know what you think of it. We call this one the Scooby series, the Scooby project. And what I did is, you haven't seen Sam lately because him and Blaine have been concentrating solely on this job. It's our biggest, most complicated job that we've actually tackled yet this year. And the backyard is actually the easier part. The front yard gets really complicated. And so I want to just use this as maybe to help some of you guys on your own projects. If you think that's a cool idea, let me know. And what I'm going to also do is just release these back to back to back, so you're not hunting and searching for them. So that's why you haven't seen Sam and Blaine recently. They're still around, trust me. And that's all we've got for you on this one. Let me know what you think. God bless. Go get them. Share this video. And here's something cool that I want to start doing. I should have said this right out of the gate. When I release videos, I'm going to release them Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 6. And I'm going to try to just stay on for the first hour. As soon as the video's out, if you guys have any questions or you've got anything, you should know that within the first hour that I release, that I'm going to try to be right there to answer all your questions. And even if you have a question, even if it's not within the first hour, don't worry. I'm going to come back and start revisiting these things, you know, later on as well, just to try to hit on everybody's questions to help you guys out. And that's all I got for today. God bless. Go get them. We'll see you on another one. Hope you like this one.